Hey guys, welcome to the Tech Point Africa podcast. My name is Emmanuel.
I'm Uluwani Femi.
I'm Chimgo's room.
And I'm Bulu.
Okay. Ifemi is doing Shakara today. What's happening? What do you call Shakara in English?
There's no
Shall
word.
I?
No.
Oh my God.
Come on.
That's not even, it's not even English.
Where are you from?
He's clearly not from the land of the Shalaye people.
Who
Yes.
says you can make it English.
You can make it English. So Shakara, there's no English word.
Yes.
Figure it out. I'm
We should
sorry.
figure it
Youthful
out.
exuberance.
Youthful exuberance.
I'm
Okay.
proud.
So how's our week been so far? So good. How was the weekend? How's the week been? Hope you are good. I'm expecting yes. I don't want long Shalaye, please.
My own is yes.
Nah, I can't talk. When you say you don't want
Was
Shalaye.
it good or not? Yes or no?
Just
Can-
please,
I
I'd
need
like
to
I want to know.
Shalaye.
Go ahead.
Let us shall I now.
Yes. By the end of last week, I was thinking at the beginning of the week, you say that I want this week to be productive. And Lagos traffic will tell you that. I'm looking at you.
For yeah.
I spent a lot of hours in traffic last year. Last week, there was no light, no electricity. It was so frustrating last week. It was as if everything was just going to frustrate you. But the
Wow.
weekend was better, I guess. Yes. So Shalaye is done. See,
So
no
they
that
give you
now.
light. They give you light.
Yes, but not as frustrating as last week. So
Okay.
we'll manage.
I can't relate to the light issue.
Oh,
Like-
okay.
You're
You
proud.
guys have been having light in
As in,
No, Not
Okay.
just having light. We've been begging them to go and take the light.
Oh,
Let me
okay.
know,
People
Sha.
are proud.
That's what happened before they started taking our light. But it's fine. It's fine. a lot of interesting things are happening in this space, right? Some people are complaining and some people are shouting, while some people are just having fun and acquiring licenses up and down. So, what's going on, Chingozim?
Yes, so your favorite fintech startup, PiggyVest, or
Yes,
Abeg
you can
app?
say that. I wanted to drag you before you. Oh?
speak for yourself, please.
Well, so on Monday, Abeg, or formerly Abeg app, announced that they are now Pocket app or Pocket by PiggyVest. So it's gone through a rebrand. So I don't know if we need to introduce Abeg. I think everyone, or almost everyone who uses Twitter.
Please
If
go
you
ahead.
watched Big Brother and you heard this ad, urgent 2K,
Abeg.
what about? Even if you don't understand what the ad was about, just know it's those same people.
Yeah.
They've changed to Pocket app or something.
So basically, they don't want you to just send urgent 2K. Now they're expanding the functionalities on the Pocket app. So previously it was mainly payments. You used it to like send money to people through their Abeg tag, but they are planning to tap into the growing social commerce market. So social commerce is basically commerce happening. It's basically e-commerce, but now happening on social networks. So I didn't download Abeg when it first launched, but I had to download it recently. So when it launched, it had this social feel. So you sent money to people based on, like, they were your contacts, you could invite them or stuff like that. But now you can shop. So if you have the app and you've updated it, you probably have seen these functionalities. So now you can shop on Abeg, you can pay. There's this escrow function as well, which I think is very brilliant. If I buy stuff from you until I've not yet done the transaction, so maybe one of you can become a merchant and then we'll try it. So basically, if going by how escrow functions, if I buy stuff from a merchant or a seller, until I've confirmed that the product is to my liking, they won't be releasing the money to the person. So this is impressive, especially when you consider that Abeg already had about 2 million users before they started, or Pocket app already had 2 million users before they started. So we spoke to Odunayo Eweni. She's the CEO.
Let me help you.
Okay.
Odunayo Eweni.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Odunayo Eweni.
No, she already helped you. Don't worry.
Okay. So she spoke to who I have been helped to pronounce her name, and
Can you imagine?
we have to make it easier. She shared why the change was necessary. So why did they go from Abeg to Pocket app?
I wouldn't say it's a change exactly. I'd say it's an expansion of the mission. I think that the natural next step from paying each other, or from paying each other and paying merchants is just kind of like integrating both of them into commerce. So for us, it just kind of made sense that that would be our next step in terms of expanding the app scope. And so what we just figured out, the name Abeg had its own connotation. It was P2P social payments, right? What name encompasses what we want app to do moving forward? What name encompasses the work that we want our users to be able to do? And pay yourself, pay merchants, and you as a micro entrepreneur also be able to sell and receive payments. And that's how we are Pocket.
Yeah. So you are no longer just receiving payments from your friends or from peers. Now on Pocket, you can pay merchants, you can do a whole lot more. So something else that is another development is the acquisition of or an approval in principle for a mobile money license. So that is I think is the more interesting bit of that story, because I was curious as well. Why mobile money? I mean, everyone knows mobile money to be associated with telecom operators and all. So why is a fintech startup doing that? And Odun had something to say as well.
First thing is that license you want to get for becoming a P2P payments and commerce company is a mobile money license. And so we got that, first of all, to fulfill regulatory requirements. But obviously, like agent, components of Momo are a benefit for us, right? It kind of opens up a new world in terms of social payments for us. So the big thing, the great thing about mobile money is being able to do both online and offline transactions when we want to. First thing.
So it's the mobile money license. Well, when it gets approved, Pocket now wants to be able to do not just online transactions, because that's actually where most of the users are online, or most of its current users from since they launched, most of their users are online. But now they want to move from online to also have offline. So if you've seen some, like say e-commerce, so let's say Credit Power, for example, if you want to buy from a Credit Power merchant, or a merchant who uses Credit Power, they can send you a payment link. So if they send you that payment link, you can the person doesn't even have to be on the internet. Mm-hmm. Once they send you the payment link, you can process your transactions offline. So that's one way that they can do it with that payment link. But so far, I'm also assuming that there'll be maybe a USSD component at some point. I don't know. Mm-hmm. That may be something they might look into.
My own issue now, right? It's a good thing. Mm-hmm. As Odun said, it's not like a name change. It's like an expansion, right?
Of the mission.
Can we come back to the conversation that Abeg model was, should we call it flawed in a way from the start?
Why?
Flawed? Yes, the concept of creating a whole ecosystem for people to beg for money.
So that was like how it came off as, but Abeg was supposed to be like the Cash App of Africa, and Cash App has developed this whole ecosystem of money, of being able to send money, P2P payments, right? So if Abeg decided to double down on that, maybe things would have been different. But it's interesting that they decided to go into full-blown payments. They are basically a payment startup right now.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying let's talk about the fact that it started with Abeg.
To beg for money.
Ecosystem
to beg for money.
That's the first version 1 of the product. They probably had this in mind that we can build it for people and then they can use it
add other stuff. Right? It's okay to iterate. I'm just wondering, because I've always had the issue with it from the beginning. Yes, it's cool to have people embraced it because of the social touch she has, right? Yeah. But I've always thought that why should you build a platform for that? But it's okay now that you've iterated, now you're bringing in a more robust component to it. So
yeah, it's considering what we've seen in the past with other fintech players that we've seen mad execution from. This is not surprising. This could have been the plan all along. That was just a hook. Ope's hook was to give 10 naira food, give 20 naira rights,
right.
just to hook you into their main product, which was also mobile money. So a social commerce, a social payments app like Abeg, Create Balls, Urgent 2K, that was like a whole ecosystem that people had not built anything for before. You use that to capture people. Supposedly they have 2 million users now. Those 2 million users are users for their payments services automatically.
Well, I think they should have disclaimer: if you don't have money, don't start with this. Because yes, look at if you don't have enough money, you can't.
Of course.
I think we'll discuss later about a startup that came with that model. Right. If you don't have money, don't start like this.
It goes without saying. There are experiments you don't run if you don't have money.
But okay, we'll get there.
So that's an interesting one. But talking about experiments that was run with a lot of money, but it came crashing down
like a house of cards.
Overused.
It's overused.
Not on this podcast. Not by me. So it's not overused.
Yeah. So last week, Wednesday, we just came to hear the news that Kune, a Kenyan food tech startup, has shut down. The CEO, Robin, announced on LinkedIn that they've exhausted all possible options. So, Ifemi, you have more details for us?
Should have said, we tried an experiment. We thought we have money to continue, then it failed. That's not his words.
Okay, start from
Let me start from the beginning, right? Emmanuel mentioned that the founder, Robin Rich, announced, he mentioned on his LinkedIn page that Kune. I'm sorry. So there's these words that sound like one syllabic words or two syllables. They are confusing. So we are going with Kune, right? Kune
By
Food.
grace of God, yes.
Okay, Kune Food, a Kenyan food tech startup, right? There are a lot of ways to describe them. They are food tech, they are food delivery,
food service aggregator. Then they call them cloud kitchen. Yeah, cloud kitchen.
Yes, a lot.
Every name.
Right. It's very beautiful names. Well, it's the startup shut down last week Wednesday, and 90 people might have lost their jobs. Right. It's still a small team to start with, considering the numbers they were doing. Well, so I was wondering that why is this news all over the place, right? According to research, like 9 startups out of 10 failed in the first 5 years. So what's the big deal with Kune? Right? It came with a very interesting model that got the market excited.
Who was excited? Were they really excited?
They were. No,
they weren't.
Let
me just give you a background. So when in my few weeks or few days in Kenya, the conversation just starts and like, about founders raising money, not able to raise money. So the whole investment thing, and they showed me a TechCrunch article. Founder does raise money, $1 million pre-seed to replace. So imagine this was the question they put to me. Imagine a startup raising $1 million to come and replace Mama Put in Nigeria.
Okay. No. I'm not talking about investment. We're not going to what you are using the money to do. The model it came with was interesting. I want to give you good food, nutritious food at a lesser money than you were getting it in other places.
So maybe you can say that the story they came with
was interesting.
Not the model.
Was the story really interesting? It was okay. So he said he came to Kenya, trying to look for food. He didn't see anywhere to get any good food
at a cheap price.
At a cheap price.
So you see that he goes to the street food. Goes to eat food on the streets. It's cheap, but it's low quality. Or he uses Glovo or Jumia food, which is very, very expensive. So he decided to bring something. But it showed a clear lack of understanding of the market, because you can actually get cheap food.
Let me just say, you are throwing a diss at the investors. So go on.
Is it well?
No, it's not a diss at no.
No. Is that not the pitch that you gave to the investors?
Well, so
And you raised $1 million.
Yes, you are
guess
throwing a
it's
diss
not
at the
a bad-
investor. That
it's
is
not a
what.
bad thing to
Continue
diss
what you are doing. I'm just trying to say. I'm not. Just go ahead.
No. I'm just, you know what? Let's leave it, because when I think about the whole thing, I'm just imagining that you are coming to tell me that, because you came to Lagos, for instance, you went to those fancy restaurants in the island, it's very, very expensive, and you went to the roadside, and you probably start having diarrhea after eating the food. You just automatically conclude in your mind that it's either it's expensive food or
It's
No
low
expensive.
low
and can give
quality
you diarrhea.
diarrhea giving food. Whereas you can see very, very, very good mama puts. I mean, where have you been surviving?
So another thing,
I don't know the
likes of
argument you are
chicken-
trying to make here, right?
Like the argument I'm trying to make here, the model he came with was not exciting.
So think about
wasn't.
it.
I want to. I'm trying to get the food that I would have gotten costly in another place less costlier, and I know that this is where they are they have like a kitchen where they prepare the meal and package it and send it to me, even at a lesser price than I'm getting from any. I know it's a wolf, sounding like a wolf. Yes, that is why it is exciting to me as a customer.
Okay.
I said
So
the market.
over
I'm
the
not saying investors. I said the market. People that want to buy. Okay.
So over the weekend, was it weekend or when I was telling Bulan that me, I actually felt it was an interesting. Okay, no, not the weekend. Funny enough, we're having a discussion just the week before they announced that they were shutting down. So we're talking about cloud kitchens. Before I even knew there was anything like cloud kitchens, I actually felt this would be a nice business in Nigeria. So I started doing some research and discovered that it was actually a thing. So think about it. I don't like cooking, but I want to get cheap food because if you go on the options we have now is Jumia Foods and the others who nobody knows. So if I go on Jumia,
So Eden Life is a joke to you, right?
Global.
It's
can you
more
afford
than
Eden Life?
Okay,
No,
let's move on.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Let's move on. Just move on.
So if I go to Athena Eden Life, if I go to Jumia Food, I have limited options. So there's Chicken Republic, there's Domino's Pizza, then there are some.
others though.
Yeah,
Others.
there are some.
Adukalo
There are
ala
plenty.
Uninyo.
There's Awuf Berekete. There's Prince of Antony Restaurant.
It's okay.
Okay.
Huh?
There's pack.
You don't cook
There
in your house.
different ones.
Yes, there are many options. But one thing is, especially for those in Nigeria, at least 90% of us are from the trenches. So if you're coming from the trenches, then you know that the food you eat in the trenches that you treasure, you won't find it in these places. You won't find it on Jumia Food.
Yes.
That's the truth. So I guess that's
But
what this
you-
guy wanted to do. I'm just trying to make a case for him, but we shall enter him later. So I suppose it's what he wanted to do. Cheap food. And we all know the issue about food poisoning. I don't even know about cost. But I think one of the issues that people are having, especially in Lagos lately, has been food poisoning.
Yeah.
So I decided, okay, if these guys can probably give me cheap food without the extra poisoning, then I mean, this is a very, very good.
Is it not interesting?
Yeah, it okay, maybe not interesting, but
Okay.
like it's
Guy,
cool.
I agree. It because it will have gotten my
I'm trying to
attention.
support Emmanuel.
No, why? Why am I?
No, I think it is. Emmanuel is not saying. Well, I think what Emmanuel is saying is it is interesting. Interesting is
Relative.
yes, exactly. Something might be bad and it's still interesting. Something might be good and it's still interesting. I think what the
But
point
you
Emmanuel is
can't
just
say
trying to
that-
make is there was no proper understanding of
Of the
the
market.
market.
True.
I think
I
that's
am
just
not
the major point.
disputing that.
It's a
But
nice story. It's
listen
a-
to his speech.
Okay.
You are seeing quality food for lesser money, right? With from a sophisticated kitchen. You
Okay.
get.
Was it even
So-
sophisticated?
But
He
at
said
least
that.
a food factory or for a startup, you know the way startup to shop, they are, you know, it will be sophisticated, right? And you know, before they get cooks to, before they get chefs, you know, they will screen them and and I'm getting food from that place for half of what I would have gotten in another place. Abba, you people should agree.
Okay,
Okay,
fine.
okay.
It was interesting.
Okay,
The
good.
now defunct startup.
Uh-huh,
was interesting.
okay, so they were able to raise some money. They were able to raise some money, right? They raised $1 million even before they started their pilot stage.
You are saying they were able to raise some money as if it's 50K.
But they did. Okay, they raised some money. Okay,
There
this
is
is
a
what
huge amount of money.
huge amounts of money,
Thank
right?
you.
This guy, this Robin, I don't know what he put in his mouth, but he went to investors and he got big names on his table. And well, they put money before he even started the pilot phase when it was still in idea. Then he went ahead and he did a few. Then he did some deliveries, fulfilled some orders, and later, because of it was getting overwhelming, he raised another $50,000 from customers.
50.
Yes. Then he went ahead to borrow some money from a Kenyan bank, which is undisclosed, right? And it was already in the process of raising another 3.5 M for his seed round. Before this started, before this happened, it brings to mind what Y Combinator's CEO sent. The letter he sent to the founders in his portfolio, right? Earlier in the year.
Yeah.
The market is bleeding. The market is bleeding, as it were. So I think that was what affected why it was not able to raise. So from what I said earlier about what Opay and Piggyverse did with Abeg, it's not for the faint-hearted. You cannot say, I will raise money to do this kind of thing. If you don't have the money already, don't bother.
So I don't know. Yes, don't raise money to do experiments. But there's another thing I'm also looking at. First of all, you got a call that I'm not doing on Friday, or maybe you got a call this evening or whatever, that the investor is not investing again, and the next day you shut down.
Because you've exhausted what you have already.
Yes.
It was actually running on red, obviously, because...
Exactly, and that's my problem. So I don't think you should get to the point where you are actually running that low. So proper management of funds. When you're raising money, the investors are asking you, this money, what's the runway for it? So how long is it going to take you? Obviously, the money he raised was not enough. So I've not had the time to dig into this guy's background. But I'd like to know what he has done before that. Has he run a business before? Because if he has not run a business before, then he was just running on vibes. He didn't know how much that money was going to last. So why is it? Because when I heard we got on a call with an investor and then he said no, and then the next day you're telling me, I mean, people typically would stay long. Businesses fail all the time, right? But it's crazy for you to shut down a day after. So
I think the order they were getting from the post he made on LinkedIn said in 2022 alone they sold 55,000 meals.
Okay.
They've acquired over 6,000 online customers and 100 corporate customers. Yeah. So this is not something, maybe they didn't anticipate this volume, but they keep pumping in money to meet these orders.
Okay.
It's also another thing because we will need to check whether the volume that they got was actually costing them a whole lot.
Of course,
because they had 90 employees. I'm not an expert here.
Okay.
But I think at that stage of the business, within 1 year, 90 employees was a lot, especially when you did not know what you wanted to do with 90 employees.
Okay. You guys, let's settle this. Let's settle this for now, right?
There's
obviously a lot to unpack here, and on the one hand, I still don't agree. Even though you guys are saying it's exciting, I still don't agree that the model is exciting because, of course. But let's just leave it there for now.
Like you don't like a wolf, but go ahead.
Let's just leave it there for now. I mean, there's a lot to discuss when it comes to startups and how you operate your business model, and a very, very, very important part of that whole process is communications, and that's why we're hosting the Tema Elevate conference. So yeah, that's on July 23rd, 2022. We'll be hosting the Tema Elevate conference to just help us understand how communications play into how we do the entire spectrum, from customer service to public relations to managing press. So many issues to talk about, and of course your marketing. Your entire message as a startup should be consistent. We should not see you building something today and tomorrow you're changing mouth and trying to... In fact, I'm still thinking about Kune as I'm saying this, but it's fine. Yeah, so I think we don't have much time left. So, Bolu, quickly give us the update from Kenya ICT Practitioners Bill.
Okay, yeah, so there's good news. Yes, good news actually in Kenya. So
I'm proud.
Yeah,
for the first time in a long time.
Yeah. So earlier this month we spoke about the Kenya's ICT practitioners bill that they were trying to get the president's assent to get him to sign it into law, but we thank God that the Kenyan president is a very reasonable person. So he rejected it, and he also made some recommendations. And some of the reasons why it was rejected, were obvious. Earlier this month, we spoke about some of those reasons why the bill was controversial, and why it actually did not make sense. And it contained things like ICT practitioners have to have some degree from a known university. They needed a license to work as an ICT practitioner. That license also had to be renewed
every year.
Things like that. Yeah, and it didn't just sit right with the president. And he said some of the things we've said before. And he said this thing will increase the barrier into ICT. You're telling someone that these days we've seen 16, 17-year-olds that are starting to do amazing things in the tech ecosystem. And then you are telling him he needs some kind of license to just carry his laptop, that he had been saving for since he was probably 14. And telling him to now get a license, to start doing these things. And the president was like, okay, that has to be removed. And he just has to. And he also made another recommendation on the part of the renewing, which also does not really make sense when you think about it. And then there was another issue about how vague it was. Who is an ICT practitioner? It was not well defined in the bill. Is it Emmanuel? Is it teacher
that are teaching
manager, exactly? Could it even be a teacher that is teaching computer science? Things like that. Very vague things. And thank God, like I said, that the president was Uhuru Kenyatta. In case you don't know who the Kenyan president is. So thank God it was very reasonable. He rejected this and called for a review. And we also seen people from in the Kenya tech ecosystem, such as the what's it called, the stakeholders in the ICT stakeholders, and then they were saying it's not going to work because it will affect Kenya's digital economy badly. And yeah, I'm sure now that the president has said it, the people who called for the bill will now have to make amends. And I think something I still find shocking is why they, try to pass something like that. Did they not think it's true? Did they not ask questions? It's
you go like go Kenya go ask him.
Okay, talking
why
about,
is it your president that has to not tell?
No.
Okay,
something about it's a good news, right?
Yeah.
And this is coming at a very good time, right? It's a good coincidence because on this week's episode of edition of Expert and African, I featured a Kenyan tech policy analyst. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So what they do actually is when draft bills like this come out, it lands on these people's table. They read about it, they read on it, analyze, research, and see where was this thing imported from? Does it even fit this legal jurisdiction? Then they look at it, they draw out some recommendations, then they send it to the lawmakers, right? So there's, apart from the stakeholders, which are the ICT practitioners, startup founders, and people using tech, there's also another group of people that are doing the work behind the scene, right, that we don't actually hear about a lot. They analyze these policies, and they are the first set of people that actually engage these lawmakers to make sure that any loopholes in these things. As you said it, they might have actually spoken with these lawmakers, because they usually get the draft bills before the general public does, right? They will have sent recommendation to them, but still they pass this silently to the president to give the signature. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is that look out for this week's episode of Expert and Africa. Yes, shameless plug. Expert and Africa, and I'm going to talk about the life of a tech policy analyst, what she does, and everything that it entails. It's not an easy job, but
Okay, that's cool. So that's an interesting one, and it's good news, as you said. But what I find very, very, very suspicious is this is not the first time this bill has been shut down.
Yes,
So
it's
it
not
keeps
at all.
rearing its ugly head.
It's actually started. They started trying to get this bill passed since 2016. Actually,
Yes,
Good.
this is the fourth time it's shut down.
So it seems there is a certain set of people in Kenya that
That are
wants this
pushing
bill
for it.
passed, right?
Huge people.
Maybe some old timers
Yeah.
who feels things should be done the icon and Guinea Kong.
Tango.
That's not going to. I don't think it can work with tech.
Well, you know the way it works with engineering or
Yes,
chartered accountancy or something like that.
Tech is too decentralized for that.
exactly. Those fields
Maybe
are.
it needs
It's different.
decentralization.
It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
different.
I get. I'm just saying, whoever, if you want to stop this thing from coming up, you need to target those guys.
Exactly.
But I'm not saying it's them. I'm just pointing out something. I mean, Nigeria, we have our own. One form or the other, one way to regulate social media keeps cropping up
Yes,
repeatedly
code
with
of
different
practice.
agencies. So
We are still
yeah.
discussing that.
So yeah, there's a whole lot there, and let's know what you think about all the stories, everything we've discussed from Abeg's rebranding and acquiring a mobile money license to Kune's shutdown after raising a whole $1 million in pre-seed funding, and of course Kenya's momentously shutting down a very, very, very controversial bill. I mean, it's interesting, and it's making me pointing out that in East Africa the focus has been on Kenya a lot. So if you're listening to this and you're from Ethiopia, Rwanda, Tanzania, kindly reach out to me if you're building interesting stuff. I'd like to hear what you're doing for what you're doing and those exciting things you're building. Yes, we have a series 2, East Africa Weekly. I'm selling my market, no problem. And if you like to talk about the stories we have here today, you can send an email to podcast@techpoint.africa or tweet at us with the hashtag TechPointAfrica podcast. And if you're listening to us for the first time, or you've been listening and you've been hearing all those juicy details alone, please, you can always share it to your friends and well-wishers, and you can find us. Where can they find us, Bolu?
Yes, they can find us on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and anywhere else you get your podcast.
All right. No comments.
This never fails to crack me up. Bye, everyone.
Bye. See you on the next one.
Bye bye.